Hi, welcome back to the second biggest, maybe stupidest, and definitely most painful project I've ever committed to. Part one was all about the frame, trying to figure out how big we needed to go to fit me inside it and make proportions that are manageable, epic, and somewhat lore accurate. Part two was where we really got stuck into learning the foam smithing process and blocked out the core shapes of the carapace, the head, and the arms of our Gidanaway creature. Now the problem is, to take any steps forward in this project, I have to take a step back. In the current state, wearing the suit means that I'm constantly holding my lower back, holding my quads, and holding my calves under quite a bit of strain and weight with no physical way to rest. It was some of the most excruciating leg pain I've ever felt in my life. Can I sit on something? So, today is leg day, and we don't skip leg day. First things first, I need to get back down to the skeleton, which means tearing off the carefully shaped sheets of foam skin. And with the steel skeleton exposed, I can make the changes I need to make before reassembling. I want to try to make educated guesses. So I make a miniature version of my supported foot to replicate the entire skeletal structure of my monster feet. My miniature foot weighs exactly 7 grams. Meanwhile, using luggage scales, I can determine that my steel leg weighs 7 kilos. So I've sort of got a one-to-one comparison. The lower I can get this number, the lower I can get that number. So the first reduction I plan to make is gutting out a bunch of the middle of the bottom platform, keeping lengths across the middle at the very ends and in the center to make sure I maintain as much structural support as possible. It is precisely 0.6. That's like 10% of the weight that I've just cut and made it more stable. Let's keep going. And so with my mini double foot structure, I cut away the 2 front beams. By adding some smaller steel supports on the inside at opposing angles, I will be able to keep as much of the structure sound as possible while hopefully drastically reducing the weight. I do, however, want to add a little bit more to the structure to avoid tipping back or stumbling sideways. My thinking is that if I use a small cut-off section of metal tubing with a rubber stopper at the end, it will stop me from tipping back or stumbling sideways out of control. So now it's just a matter of doing to the big steel things the stuff that I did to the little wooden thing. It's just a lot more time consuming and hot and dangerous, but bit by bit, I shaved off some support structures while adding some other lighter support structures to make my Roach Legs 2.0. Trademark, copyright. It is markedly lighter. I'm still going. And PAX is in a week and a half. I really hope I have help tomorrow. I've got help! All right, let's get to work.
Magic.
Actually, I'm over here. You go with them. I'm over here. Jason, Amy, and Murray's initial work is about preparing the carapace to hold the underbelly and figure out how it will be attached and where it will be attached permanently or with Velcro. Meanwhile, back on my stripped back legs, I needed to add stability. It was 7 kilos. It is now 6 kilos. Look, it's not a huge weight reduction, but it's enough of a reduction and added stability that I'm hoping that will help. The bigger problem to solve is where we ended the last part, my excruciating pain. So a theory I had is if I had like a bike seat on a pole and one of my handlers or helpers could sort of like maybe carry it like it's some sort of religious staff, I don't know. And when I'm like, help, help, they just shove it up my butt. But then I thought that might be weird. Then I had another thought. This is what's called a C-stand, and it's a really rigid, very supportive piece of hardware for studio equipment. They're really heavy duty, but this one happens to be broken. My theory is, if it works to hold my weight, I can incorporate it into one of the legs and just sort of bury it in foam. I don't know if it'll work or if it's a terrible idea. It's gonna add a lot of weight to one leg, but that's not a problem if I can rest. And this thing is like, when it locks in, it locks in. So before we lock it in, I've got to test it. Oh my God, I could sit here all day.
Imagine it's welded to a couple of points there.
I need to be over this leg to actually rest. But I actually have something, and I don't have to have a weird butt pole bearer. All right. After several days of reworking, I have lighter and more stable legs, and most importantly, a way to give myself a little bit of rest when I need to. While I was exploring my seating plan, the team in the other room were bringing all of the canvas underbelly together, velcroing in some places, gluing in others, so we can have a flexible but shaped underbelly to attach our muscles to. So with Legs 2.0, I am bulking out the outside of the legs and making them, in general, thicker. And because I don't have templates to work with, I'm just bloody guessing. Fortunately, improvising is
our speciality.
This is starting to actually look like monster feet. The others had spent the rest of that day covering the rest of the underbody of our roach fully with all of our muscle and sinew underlaid. Finally, I'm catching up to the place that the legs were at the start of this video. Let's just get through this bit with a nice speedy montage. Here's my biggest favorite feature. I've got a completely removable front plate.
Yeah, there we go.
I am already so glad I installed this seat. Good Lord. I can actually rest. It's wild. These look pretty cool. They just felt like big weird stilts before, but now they're big bloody feet. So graceful. Time to enter the body. Okay, I'm inside. Whew. So, I've got a camera so you can see what I see, and I've got a monitor so I can see from outside. But to properly figure this out, it's gonna be bloody awkward because I have to take this off of the stand and put it on my shoulders. You're not near me, Betty, run! Run! Get in! All right, nice and tight. I think people will be able to tell when I'm doing the seat. Do you know what? I'm gonna need other people to do the seat. Can you tighten it for me? Yeah. All right, I've got a seat. Oh my God, this is still tough, but it's better, much better. So this is what I look like in the suit. What do you reckon? So that bit, the round bit goes over my knee. So it sort of wraps around the front and over.
Oh, right.
God damn, this seat is the best thing I've ever made. Ain't that right, Roachy? Yep. I'm gonna put him over the light like that, his eye glows. Oh, I need to do glowing eyes. Now I can, oh! Good Lord. Well, I'd say that's several victories, Benny. All right, I'm gonna get back to work. It's time to dive into the world of sculpting. Not just foam sculpting, mind you, but body sculpting too. Because time is running out and both the roach and my body need to be in peak physical condition to pull this off. It's montage time. Foam has genuinely become one of my favorite mediums ever. Like, as an impatient person who likes to work at large scales, it's a dream. I can easily add on sections like I am with these claw fingies, and within 10 minutes, I can be carving them back and sanding to a fine finish. Case in point, I made the roach's atrophied little arms in just a couple of hours. No armature, no structural foundation, just a few blocks of foam chunks glued together with contact adhesive, then carved back with fresh, sharp blades until I had the shape I wanted, and then with some sanding and a final application with a heat gun, bam, roach arms. Just a reminder, if you've been watching this build and hankering to try it for yourself, trust me, it is every bit as satisfying as it looks, and you can get into it by checking out Lumen's workshop, who not only have helped me with this build, but can help you with yours by supplying incredible high quality materials. Once again, you can get 10% off using my code, I'll put in the description as well, or you can get one of her starter sets, which doesn't have the discount code because it's already heavily discounted. Thank you so much, Lumen's workshop, for helping me with this. Like that time a few weeks ago when Maggie helped me figure out how to put texture on the surface of my foam.
So I have this Flex Foam at 3, which is a 15 times expansion soft flexible foam. So
there's gonna be 15 times this.
Yes.
All right. So I guess we wanna try, we wanna vary.
Yeah.
Like a few places where we have like little bits and a few places where it's like chunkier.
I guess now we just wait 25 minutes.
Okay, so mixed results. We actually made another one after it had expanded a bit. You sort of just sponged that on.
Yeah. So when it was like halfway done expanding.
I feel like that, which is a thin application before it expands, and a bit of that. So now back to the present. We had figured out the right texturing method and I was ready to apply it. And because I figured I'd be covering a large area, I mixed up a healthy amount, which it turns out was the wrong thing to do because, well, it made a faster chemical reaction because the heat sort of compounded on itself and basically turned into solid foam by the time I was ready to use it. So I worked in slightly smaller batches and applied it a little sooner and very rapidly built up texture in layers over all of the surfaces of my Gedanaway. Okay, we have 2 days left. We are officially at the stage where the whole thing is textured and carved and sculpted, and so are these babies and these babies. Murray is our veteran miniature painter, and this is basically a big version of a miniature, right?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, if you just sort of do what you do on the ones that big, on the thing this big, meanwhile, Amy and I are going to be covering all of the under sinew with this stuff. So this is actually an artwork Alicia created, like a painted on and retexturized higher definition version of that. By gluing it on top, we're going to get the 3D form of the muscles. So I'm hoping it'll look really cool. Who knows? We'll find out. While Murray and Amy prepped the monster for painting, I went out to get a base coat color that would be nice and flexible with a foam surface, along with some friendly help from a local paint shop. I think the biggest thing for us is, if we can do it in less than 3 coats, that would be great, because we're in a huge rush.
We'll go white, perfect. I reckon Attitude would be a good underbase, definitely.
Yeah. There's one last step, and that is battle damage. With the Gedanaway carapace properly scarred and scraped, it's finally time to add the paint. Murray did the base coat in our Attitude base color, and when that was dry, went over the whole thing in layers of orange and pink to add a fleshier feel and tie it in with the vibrant flesh of the underbody, which I was working on gluing over my pool noodle musculature. Now you might have noticed I actually didn't carve many skin details in the flesh areas of the head, and that was intentional because I didn't want the skin of the face to be different like a painted foam when the rest of the body was going to be this fabric. To have that all tie in nicely together, I created eye inserts with ping pong balls and more layers of a redder fabric. and I added some warm LEDs on the inside to give us a nice putrid yellow glow. Okay, this is just powered by USB, so I can plug this into a power source inside the body. Now we are finally up to the stage of creating the permanent mount for the head. We've done the underbelly and the back belly, which, as you can see, was printed on this lovely floral texture. I gotta see what this body looks like under the carapace. Oh, it's gonna get hot in here. I'm already sweating. Now, I know me saying that is gonna make some of you watching this anxious, because I've read the comments of the last video. This looks pretty freaking cool. Now that it's upright, I need to move on to the inside. And like I said, I read your comments. I purchased these miniature clip-on fans. I've got 2 of them, but not only that, for Father's Day this year, I got a really odd present. It's a neck fan! Best present ever! I mean, okay, ventilation, no longer an issue. All right, I can put my fans in. 1, 2, 3. Airflow, ooh, ooh. And then from below and above. Next, I need to rig cameras because I'm going to be completely blind. Now the cameras I'm going to be using in question are these Blackmagic Micro Studio cameras. We use them everywhere in our studio. It's going to be useful here because I need cameras specifically placed to help me navigate and see everything around me, but I need monitors close to me so I can see outside. Last but certainly not least in all of my mounting endeavors, there's, however, we're sticking the head on there. Fortunately, John from Lumen's Workshop is an engineering genius who made us a custom-built 3-axis articulating joint. So I can mount this here, which will attach to that pole so I can animate the head. So now it's time to construct all of the intricate innards. We are finally in the home stretch. I'm working on the interior rigging, ready to actually use this suit, while Amy's finishing off gluing the fabric and Murray's finishing the paint by sponging the details of the carapaces and then moving on to the face and the joints and all of those finishing touches that will make this monster pop. It's a surreal feeling having worked on something for weeks, almost a month, and finally be putting it together for its final beauty shots before we pack it away to show off in public. This has turned out incredible, and I can only hope that taking it to a convention is going to have as much wow impact as this does. You may notice in this tail end of the video, we've been clamoring like hell to get this finished because PAX is tomorrow and it's late at night. I didn't have time to do a test walk. So I hope I can walk in it. At the very least, we've made a bloody phenomenal sculpture, which will be on display at PAX the whole time, except for when I try and walk in it at midday tomorrow. Thank you so much, you guys. These guys and Lumen's Workshop make this possible. It's absolutely insane. And we're not quite done yet because we have to hit the road with it. Wow. Now remember, it's not over yet. We still have one final part where the team helps me don the roach suit and walk around a convention. So make sure to subscribe so you can see part 4 and see how everything went according to plan. I heard a crack.